what I did there?
Oh, very good, very good.
Over to you, Vastas, for our next guest.
Our next guest is a top cop turned motivational speaker with a little sprinkling of the famous Wham t-shirt. He'll be giving his Choosing Life talk at this year's CarFest. And now on day one of Mental Health Awareness Week, please welcome no prob, Rob Hosking.
Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm very well. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Yes, I'm good. I just want to say also it's an absolute privilege to be here because it's kind of like a full circle moment where my mum used to listen to your show when I was younger, and she'd always come home after work and be like, I learned this, I learned that, and I learned this. And then when I was going to work myself a few years ago, in the morning I'd be listening to your show, and at the tables would turn, I'd be like, oh, I'm learning this, I'm learning that. Yeah. And at that point I was living an unaligned, unhappy life, and I wasn't living one with purpose. And now I'm sitting here today living an aligned life, a happier life, and one with purpose. So first of all, thank you for sharing all your wisdom over the years, and thank you for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. Just lean in a bit to that mic if you don't mind there, Rob. So Rob's story is amazing. Watch his TEDx talk, which was only just over a year ago, and I believe it was only his second ever public address or public performance. I mean, people who've been speaking in public for years dread their first TED talk, but as soon as it's only your second, I suppose that could go either way.
Yeah, definitely. But, you know, honestly, I'm not lying here, but as soon as I step out into the stage, all the nerves just disappear. And I was saying to Fastos before, I feel like I found my ikigai. This is my passion, and I can also get paid for it. So it's
very, very handy. So watch the TEDx talk. It's 16 minutes long. It's great. And it's Rob's talk on happiness. In it, we find out about your liver.
Yes.
What a great story about your liver.
Yeah, definitely.
So his liver was tested for sadness, found to be very sad, scientifically sad.
Yes, scientifically.
And then you change your life, and 4 weeks later it was scientifically happy.
Yes.
Just tell us about that.
So I was suffering from a lot of PTSD symptoms after leaving the police force, and had racing heart rate one night, and the ambulance got called and took me into the hospital. So after that, the doctors did all their tests and things like that to see what's going on here. And they said, there's something maybe wrong with your liver. We're going to have to get further tests and you can come back in a few weeks. However, before I came back, I went to a silent counselling session. And during that time, we looked at the different meridian points in my body. And they highlighted there was this built up negative energy in my liver. So we did this process of letting go of all that stuff. And I went back to the doctors a few weeks later and did the test. And they were like, oh, your liver's absolutely fine. It's completely gone. Whatever it was, it's completely gone. And when they looked at the meridian points in my body during the silent counselling session, they highlighted that in your liver, that negative built up energy represents anger and resentment. I had so much anger, so much resentment for what I felt. I wasted 5 years of my life in the police force, living an unaligned life. I was just so angry about how I lived my life. All my friends during their 20s were traveling the world, doing their backpacker years and things like that. And there I was, 22 years old, joined the police force and just missed out on what I thought was the way to live in your 20s. But once I let go of that anger, once I let go of that resentment, I realised, wait a minute, this was only ever impacting me. Nobody else, nobody in the police force, nobody in the world. This was only impacting me. So by letting go of it, not only did I help myself mentally, but also physically. And it was just a great example of you have no idea what's happening underneath. And this is why we have to have a better relationship with stress and let go of these things that we maybe have anger towards, or resentment towards, because at the end of the day, it only impacts you.
Yeah, what I love about your liver experience is that you had it so we don't have to. So thank you for that. Yeah. But also, it is ancient wisdom meeting modern science, isn't it? Yeah. Because the meridian thing, that's ancient wisdom. That's Dutch, Chinese, and Japanese medicine. But it's being measured in Western science, and that's the two coming together on the golden bridge of reluctant agreement, if you like. That's absolutely fascinating. I love your 7 steps to happiness. Yeah. You talk about it's not really about waking up every morning. It's not really about our challenge with life. It's our challenge with our lives, with our own life. Happiness isn't about happiness per se. It's about are happiness, and you have to sort of find your own true north before you can even begin to spread what you then have, because before that you don't have it, you know, and it's just like, you know, shouting at the weather, if you like. So take us through your 7 steps to happiness, because they are simple and they are brilliant.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, you've just put it so clearly there, where happiness is unique to every individual. And I think in society, especially with social media these days, we think, oh, someone's doing this, someone's doing that, and they look happy. That must be what happiness is. But the reality of it is that we're all so unique. We're all so individualistic. How can happiness, one form of happiness, mean the same to everybody else? It just doesn't. So we need to understand it's not about what makes society happy, what makes me happy.
Yeah.
And then accept your, as you said, your true north of, well, I'm okay to follow that. I don't need somebody to think that's not happiness. What's happiness to you? Follow what it means to you. And the 7 steps to happiness, or I should say to a happier life, but they're so simple, as you said, but they're so effective if you can just put these into your life. And I'll go through, do you want to go through all of them, or a couple?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, should we play a tune? We don't often do this. Okay, we'll play a tune and then we'll come back with all 7, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Like the 7 stars of the samurai. Come on. We want 7. We like 7. All right, 9:35, coming back. Day 1 of Mental Health Awareness Week, and we're celebrating it and we're promoting it. We're hoping to inspire you with Rob Hoskins. Rob is available to come and watch and meet in person in the flesh at CarFest. CarFest.org. He's going to be talking Sunday morning at least once, maybe a few times at CarFest this year. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, 7 steps to a happier you. Go.
So the first one's to do with our mental health. So Mental Health Awareness Week, this is a great one to start. And there's 3 steps that we need to do in regards to our mental health. We need to notice it, accept it, and heal it. First of all, we need to notice our emotions changing. That's probably the easier one, where we're like, oh, I notice I'm sad, or I notice that I'm unhappy. But the next stage is the hardest one probably, and that is the accepted stage. See, when I was in the police force, when I hit rock bottom, I noticed that I was sad. I noticed it wasn't me, but I didn't get to that accepted stage for a long time. I didn't accept it to myself. I didn't accept it to my family. I didn't accept it to my friends, colleagues, whoever. I didn't accept it. So by not accepting it, I wasn't able to open up about it.
And you're still suffering it.
Exactly.
Whereas if you accept it, it's almost the beginning of the end of suffering.
That's it, exactly. Because we need to get to that stage before we get to the heal it stage. The accepted stage is that main stage, because we can't heal anything by just noticing that you're sad or unhappy.
Accept it.
Accept it.
And heal it.
And then heal it. So the second one, understand your core values. It's so important to understand who you are as a person. And you might think, I know who I am. Well, write them down. Write down the words that actually describe who you are. Because when you can do that, everything that you do in your life, you can go back to those key words that you've put down as your values and be like, wait a minute, is that decision aligned to that core value?
So interesting.
Like for me, freedom and spontaneity. Joining the police force was not going to give me freedom and spontaneity. The exact opposite.
As much your intentions were good,
yeah,
it's never going to happen.
it was never going to happen.
Well, you could carry on doing it, but you would just literally be as miserable as sin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I went through rock bottom. I wanted to take my own life in 2018. I went through all the difficulties. Why? Well, I wasn't living a true life. I
So
wasn't
you were
living a
massively
life.
conflicted.
Massively.
So you're waking up with conflict. You were going to bed with conflict. You were having nightmares with conflict. You were just living. I mean, just saying the word and thinking about your time and your experiences there makes me feel knotted inside.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It feels like you've got a straitjacket on, and that's what I felt like for 5 years of my life.
Yeah.
I was too busy protecting everybody else.
Yeah.
Talking people down from bridges, saving people's lives, but instead, inside, I wasn't protecting me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was very conflicted. The next one is understand what makes you unhappy. Because sometimes we think, well, actually, what makes me happy? Oh, I'm not sure. I need to think. But usually, we know what makes us unhappy in our lives. For me, the job made me unhappy. That was the thing that made me unhappiest, so I needed to remove it from my life. And when we remove these things that make us unhappy, guess what? You've got room to explore things that actually make you happy.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, you're going to still have to do the dishes and things like the housework, but in terms of real life things, the big things in your life, what makes you unhappy? Remove it. And then you can start focusing on what makes me happy.
Yeah, and often the removal is just the don'ting. just stopping, which is not that difficult. It's not difficult to do, but for some reason we're so reluctant to change, aren't we? Because we think it's it's mountainous, and it may well be, but you take the first step and that's that one done. It might be another 26,999, but we're one down.
Exactly.
That's the point.
Exactly.
And do you find that one of the best ways to notice what makes you unhappy is to zoom out, maybe?
That's it. It was actually Charlie Chaplin who said that life is a tragedy up close, but a long shot, it's a comedy.
Right.
I think that's a perfect way to describe
I've
life.
never heard that
Sometimes
before.
we need to take that step back.
Yeah, zooming out is important, and that's why we find other people's issues more easy to discern and to help them with, because we are automatically zoomed out from them. Even if they're our best friend or our lover or our partner, and we're next to them in bed or on a walk, or maybe a bit more distant geographically, maybe a work pal or something like that, but we are automatically zoomed out. And it's not that we feel it's not that we have less empathy for them than we do for ourselves. It's just that we're automatically zoomed out. So try and get zoomed out. God knows how you do it. I know how I do it. It's different for different people.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's so different for different people. But, people are so quick to give advice to other people. I'm like, I helped him, I helped her. But you think, well, help yourself by taking that step back.
Yeah, I think physical exercise is good because it gets you out of your head into your body. And that is, in a way, is a removal of yourself from one part of you to a more useful part of you.
I think so. I think
you look very fit, by the way.
Thank you so much. So do you.
Do you?
Yes, I do. I go to the gym. I play football. I try to run sometimes. I've got a dodgy knee.
You drink lots of water and you eat good food.
Exactly. And they're the 3 principles. And these are what I say in my talks. The 3 principles to a happier life too is eat well, sleep well, and exercise. The cold water therapy is brilliant. The yoga is brilliant. The meditation is brilliant. But the foundations are those 3 principles. And if you think of it as a house or a building, without a good foundation, it will fall apart. And the foundations for us, for our mental health and for a happier life is eating well, sleeping well, and exercise. All the rest of the stuff can get added on.
I so good. This is all so good. It's so basic, and that's why it's so good. I was listening to an expert last week talking about the same thing, and he said people come to me all the time, and they said, "Look, I really want to do something amazing to get healthy," and he said, "Well, you can't." Because you can't just jump to amazing. How's your sleep? How's your diet? What exercise do you do? Well, I don't do any of that yet, but I just want to do this. He said, well, you can't do that unless you do these.
Exactly.
And the biggest step you can do are the smallest steps right now.
The small steps make the big difference. So, and the next one goes into that, where it's the let go of the anger and resentment, which we spoke about, where it is just, it's a simple thing. Just let it go.
I know.
Let it go.
Why do we cling on to it?
Exactly. Why do we? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's easy to say when you've let go of it, but once you're in it and you're feeling all these emotions, the last thing that you think that you can do is letting go of it. But the advice is, from someone who's been through it all, just let go of it. Find a way to heal from it and let go of it.
The thing is, though, with no disrespect to you whatsoever, and speaking to myself as well, because I've been seriously ill once or twice in my life, and when I was, not as seriously as some people, but more seriously than a lot of other people, then I didn't let go, but it was let go. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And when you hit rock bottom, you didn't let go because you hit rock bottom, didn't you? And what we're saying is it's more preemptive and prescriptive to let go before you hit rock bottom.
Yeah, that's it. That's it exactly. And, I needed to let go of all that anger and resentment before I hit rock bottom, but I couldn't either. I couldn't, and I couldn't do it. I almost had to go through the different stages before I could get to that stage.
If we could recognise it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the next one, be an optimist. Easier said than done, yes, but the saying goes, I'd rather be an optimist and wrong than a pessimist and right.
I love that.
It's incredible.
Great?
That's my favourite.
It's great. It is great. And it's so true, because not only being an optimist helps you mentally, but also helps you physically. And maybe we don't understand that fully, where we think, of course I'm going to be better mentally by being more of an optimist. But research has actually shown that people who are more optimistic have lower chances of heart attack, strokes, and death.
Totally.
So it's just fine. So just find a way to look at the positives of things. Yes, easier said than done.
Yeah.
But we don't always have to go to the negative.
Yeah, and don't hang out with pessimism.
That's the thing. You are the average of the 5 people you spend your most time with.
Yeah,
So-
no, I love that. You open your TED Talk with that. I've heard it loads of times before, but you made me think again this morning, because every time you hear it, you go, yeah, I've heard that before. No, but you're hearing it again. Oh, right, okay. So I did an inventory of my own life on the way and thinking, yeah, well, the 5 people I hang about with most are my wife and my 4 children.
Yeah.
And which is very fortunate, but also true, because, you know, I am the average of those 5 people, and they're lovely, wonderful people to hang around with, as is my eldest daughter, you know, and she brings her gang, and then there's 8 of us, or 9 of us, or 10 of us, or 11 of us, and then Tash brings around her twin sisters, and they bring around their million children, and it's joy soup. We had a lot of kid joy soup at the weekend, and it was just it's a contagion of smiles, and it does work. And you can get the opposite, can't you? You know what you can also end up doing, if you're a very optimistic person, but you have a self-esteem issue or an insecurity issue, you might find yourself ironically hanging around with pessimists, because it makes you feel better, because you're the only optimist with all the pessimists, so you feel a bit like a superhero. But that's just narcissism personified.
Exactly.
So you still want to hang around with positive people,
Exactly. And
because I bet you were a bit like that in the police force, weren't you?
yeah, unfortunately, I was surrounding myself with so many negative people, and
Yeah, and you're trying to cheer them up.
exactly,
It's exhausting.
And that's the thing. I always was that person who wore a mask.
Yeah.
I was hurting so much inside, but I had that smile on my face and made sure everybody else was happy and laughing and joking and things like that. People would say, oh, Rob's good fun. Rob can bring the banter to the workplace.
Yeah.
No one ever would have thought, I wonder if Rob's suffering here.
Yeah.
But I was trying to cheer people up. I was trying to get the best out of people and be like, come on, let's keep going. And yeah, don't get me wrong, some days I was also a pessimist, because when you are the average, you become it
Yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But yeah, it's so difficult. It's such a drain on you
yeah.
mentally.
Well, it's chronic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So acute, you can cope with acute, but chronic kills you. It's the low fi chronic that kills you. It's not the high acute alarm bells that everybody thinks the fire is going to kill you, but it's not. It's that slow drain, like you say, those lead boots that you become so used to, you're not even aware of the fact you're wearing them anymore.
No, definitely not. And that's the thing. Yes, it's easier said than done, but see, when you remove these people from your life, it changes.
Well, you feel like a glider.
Exactly.
There are thermals everywhere. You're a lighter than air aircraft, and you think, what was I doing?
Exactly. That's the thing. If you could show people this is what you could feel like after, people wouldn't even hesitate to make the decisions.
I know. It's funny because, like, again, you know, no pack drill here whatsoever. I am the least qualified person to judge anybody else. But since I've given up alcohol, I do all these things that make me feel brilliant, you know, like running the marathons, like going to the gym, like reading all the books, like eating well. But just daunting, where the drink's concerned, is equal to all of that. And all I've had to do is stop doing something. And it's equal, if not, it's definitely parallel, on par with, if not more than all this other work that I've been doing for 10 years. Brilliant. Just stopping drinking times by 1,000.
That's the thing.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah, something so simple. Well, so simple, but you know, and it can make such a big difference.
Yeah.
And look, this is what these 7 steps to happiness all about, where they are simple steps that anybody can just be like, right, let me ask myself this question.
Yeah.
Am I doing this? Can I do this? Anyone can do it, because they're simple things, simple little nuggets that you can take into your own life.
Take action.
And take
Gotta
action.
take action, haven't you?
And that's it. And the last one is all about make you a priority. In this one life that we have, you have to make you the priority. People think it's selfish. It's not. It's the most selfless thing you can do. That thing of you can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah. You need to focus on you. Make you a priority in your life, because nobody else will.
Yeah.
Nobody else will. You need to put you as the priority, and then focus on what makes you happy that way. And, you know, do little things each day that makes you happy. It's all the little steps, as we're talking about, the little steps make the biggest of difference when it comes to our happiness.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. So, well done, Frankfurt. You've got all this to come. Today, is that?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow you're going to Frankfurt. Yeah. All right, and if people want to find out more about Rob, go to robhosking.co. I went on your website last night.
Yes,
great website. Congratulations, mate.
I did it myself.
Did you? Actually?
I did, yes.
Where'd you pick up those skills?
Man of many talents.
Wow. Well, you keep smiling. Take that smile with you this summer, and please bring it to CarFest. Can't wait to see you there.
Cannot wait.
All right, mate. Well done.
Thank you so
What
much.
a great way to kick off Mental Health Awareness Week. Once again, Rob Hosking with a G.co. Go there. Tickets available for carfest.org generally, etc., etc., etc. That was wonderful. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Virgin Radio.